it would have been wonderful if it was a really happy book with a wonderful happy ending. It would have been wonderful if that was what was happening for me at the time. But I think you've got to see love from lots of different angles. You've got to see the bad parts and the good parts, and you can't pick which parts you want. I think when it's a difficult experience and when your heart's broken and everything else, you do feel that love isn't what you wanted it to be. But the good thing about it is, if you can get through it and you can think, well, it was worth having that person in my life, it was worth knowing them, and you wouldn't change it. I think sometimes that's the best thing you can get out of it. And because it isn't one of those situations where it's like you should learn from it and put that, change your behaviour in the future. Because I don't really know how you'd do that. I feel that you'd go, oh, that was really painful, I'll work out ways how to avoid that from happening. It'd just be horrendous. You just stop that ability from taking a chance on something that you really wanted and really, really thought a lot about. If you're going to have your heart broken, it should be broken by someone that you just think's amazing. It shouldn't be broken by somebody that you've picked because you think, oh well, if I'm with you and you break my heart, then it won't be as painful as if I really cared about you and I really thought you were wonderful. And I kind of feel like at the end, I'm proud of how I felt, and I'm proud of being able to say, I'm in love with you. Because even though things turned out horrendous and it wasn't what they wanted, I do feel like, wow, you managed to do that. You managed to be that vulnerable. You managed to be that honest about how you felt. That's always a wonderful thing. Regardless of how it turns out, it says, gosh, you've got so much courage. You've got so much... you've just got so much strength to risk it all going wrong. And even if it does all go wrong, which within this situation that I was writing about, it did. But even if it did, it doesn't matter. Because God, you had the strength to risk it. And I just hope that I can hold on to that forever, that strength to say, well, if someone's really, really worth it, you've got to have that courage to say how you feel, regardless of what happens. Ignore the consequences. You can either be one of those people that just looks at them and just thinks, oh God, they're amazing. Or you can be that person that actually tried, that actually went for what they wanted. The book Broken, it's just, it's floods of emotion, really. And I needed to write it. Because when you say to someone, when you say, I love you, and that's not how they feel, that love's got to go somewhere. And it isn't their responsibility to say, to find a place for it. They shouldn't have to say, oh, you're in love with me, so I'm going to accommodate that in my life. I'm going to find a place for your love in my life. because that's not their responsibility. It's your responsibility to say, I'm going to find somewhere to put all this how I feel. I've got to express it somewhere, and I've not got an avenue to do that. I've got to find a way. That's my responsibility. That's what I've got to do. So I wrote the book, and it just poured out, and it was wonderful putting it somewhere, and all the painful feelings and everything that was attached to what was happening. But it was so wonderful that I had the art and the writing to be able to do that, to find a place. And I hope that anybody else that goes through a situation like this where the heart's broken, I hope that they find somewhere to put what they're feeling, a way of expressing it, because it's really, really important that they don't ignore it, because you should acknowledge what you feel, because I don't know how you would live with it otherwise. And if you didn't, it would change who you were as a person. Perhaps be less willing to be quite as vulnerable, and that'd be a shame.